Well, Martin Reardon is an expert in strategic security intelligence. He joins me now live from Doha. Hi there, Martin. Good to have you on the program. There seems to be a lot of confusion about why it's safer, perhaps, to keep devices in the aircraft's hold rather than in the cabin. I'm wondering why security personnel can't simply ask passengers to turn on their devices to determine whether they're real or not.
Well, to your second part of the question about turning on devices to figure out if they're real or not, as you recall, in 2014, that was done for some period of time because threat information indicated that Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula was going to replace some of the electronics with explosives. AQAP, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, has shown time and again that they are intent on bringing down an airliner, preferably en route to the United States. They have made many attempts, so far unsuccessful, but they keep on going. I think the difference between restricting them from being in the cabin as opposed to putting them in the hold, being in the hold requires a more sophisticated device, a barometric mechanism or a timer. And with the handling of baggage going in, it's possible that it could go off earlier. It has succeeded. Pan Am 103, 25 years ago, that succeeded. But the less sophisticated device, bringing the laptop or the electronic device on board and sending it off manually, is much easier. And that apparently is what the threat information is. We saw this with the Diallo 159 flight last year from Mogadishu to Djibouti. The laptop got through security, and the bomber actually set it off on board. Fortunately, it wasn't at cruising altitude, and there was no catastrophic destruction of the aircraft, just that the bomber himself was killed.
What about the fact that this ban only affects direct flights from the Middle Eastern countries and Northern African countries included in this ban to the United States or United Kingdom, and not flights connecting through other airports such as Heathrow and London, for instance?
I think it's two parts. One, if this is a Al-Qaeda plot or AQAP plot, their base of operations is in the Middle East. It would potentially be easier to get a bomber on board from the Middle East, less travel into Europe, because that travel is being scrutinized now. I think it could also be a question of how much reliability is, or how much confidence there is with the security in some airports, although there seems to be a difference between what the UK considers to be secure airports and the US considers to be secure airports. So, that is something that hasn't been explained.
So do you not think that perhaps the screening technology isn't up to scratch as of now to detect these kinds of high-tech devices that these groups are coming up with?
Well, I think we've seen over the years that as technology advances and new procedures, whether they're technological procedures or manual inspections, as we progress with that, terrorists adapt. And that's why we have seen time and again, as recently as a year ago, successful or attempts to get a bomb on board an aircraft, a successful bomb with the Diallo flight, just didn't bring down the aircraft. So this is a matter of trying to stay ahead of what the terrorists are doing. They will continually evolve with their capabilities.
What is your theory then as to why this ban has come into place? Lots of theories about this. Well, officially, the reason is the imminent terror threat from these groups, but there's also the belief that perhaps there's a trade war going on. What's your theory as to why this ban has come into place in the way that it has?
I think just based on threats in the past, I think this was a legitimate attempt to prevent an electronic device from getting into the cabin that could be set off manually. With the thought of a trade war, I know in light of recent policy decisions in Washington, that's easy to think that. But again, the intelligence community, they stay apolitical. They see a threat, they make recommendations. And then again, this is not just the United States, which has some trade issues. The UK is doing this as well. And I'm not aware of any trade issues as far as airlines that the UK is disputing.
All right, Martin Reardon, many thanks for joining us there from Doha.